Hi, everyone. This is Paul Grow here. This is the start of my new YouTube channel. I'm going to begin with my inaugural video, which will be to read a two-page document, and then hopefully that'll inspire some questions that'll create the next set of videos. I'm finally graduating from TikTok. Okay. The Endgame of Jesus by Paul Samuel Grow, May 29th, 2023. The most important philosophical question for an American, indeed anyone of Western culture, is the question of Jesus, not war or suicide, as argued by Levinas and Camus. Awareness of that name comes before either and informs the decision to do one or participate in the other accordingly. The conflation between Jesus as an organizing principle of our society and who he actually was is hard, perhaps impossible to undo. Many, knowingly and unknowingly, have tried in more books and sermons than one could absorb in many lifetimes. Here's my effort at it, and boldness, but nevertheless fearful of a point in the first and fourth quadrant of my Johari window. I am making the final move in a chess game that has been ongoing for thousands of years. There are a set of reasonable underlying assumptions I ask you to observe as you consider my argument. For many, I figure once you see where this argument is going and that it offers transformative enlightenment, you'll probably want to come back and check these assumptions, but I am quite sure they are more likely true than any alternative. For some, why the hell didn't you deliver the final checkmate? By my estimation, Nietzsche came close, but still he veered left down in a cosmic game of chicken. Jesus existed. He was the actual king of Israel, and he, and probably all those around him, Roman and Jew alike, knew whoever that king was, his proper throne was in Jerusalem. Jesus probably knew his apostles his whole life. They were likely just his childhood friends. As he got older, he decided to take responsibility for the impossible situation he was in with regards to leading a rebellion against the Roman occupiers or collaborating with them. It is reported that he had two apostles, a tax collector and a zealot, who were advocating for one or the other, or someone years after Jesus' death wanted you to think that. Still, it seems likely true that he would have had friends, a guy like Matthew and a guy like Simon, both of whom were finding a way to directly respond to the overwhelmingly important truth of the Roman occupation. No miracle in the Bible is an actual miracle. The laws of physics and of biology are simply not broken in this world then or now. They were either faked or made up after the fact as literary devices or coincidences or driven by the beauty and sickness of it all. The books of the New Testament had to compete with other books that had miracles in them. Read Homer. It was a subtle refinement of God to learn Greek when he wished to write a book, and that he did not learn it better. Nietzsche. Irony and humor can expose idiocy. The joy of doing so and the amount of idiocy that we have to work with is a barrier to transformative enlightenment. Paul Grow. It is reported in the Gospel of Matthew that Jesus created a new church religion and set Peter up to be the leader after he goes to Jerusalem and dies. To ask if this actually happened is stupid. We cannot know. Time travel is currently, and I would guess forever, impossible. We are in our location in the Ruliad. Shout outs to Lex and Steve in this recent video. Got me through a boring 4 hours of work. But it is either true or someone 40 years after Jesus' death wanted you to believe that it is true. Who was the author of the Gospel of Matthew? No matter. The most important part of this new religion is the granting of the power to forgive sin. What an audacious masterstroke. It is a nice synchronicity to me that writing the words audacious masterstroke happened just as this Word document came to a new page. It might give me a chance to do some statistics. What I would love to know is how many people laughed upon reading that, or maybe had an emotional response. I'm certain it isn't zero. After the selection of Peter, according to all the Gospels, Jesus then rode into Jerusalem on the back of a donkey. He drove the money changers out of the temple area, preached to the people for about a week, was finally arrested and executed. Pilate probably would have wanted to take him to the Circus Maximus and put him at the head of a triumph, but a donkey-riding preacher probably wasn't worth the trouble. But it could explain why it is reported that Pilate made such a big deal out of calling him the actual king of the Jews. It made it easier to kill him. because that is what Romans do to the leaders of those they conquer. This religion was successful. As evidence, here I am, approximately 1,990 years after his death, plausibly claiming that the question of Jesus is more important than the questions of war and suicide. Did you catch the incorrect use of my capital letters there? Humor is a barrier for me, but I wouldn't want to live otherwise. Jesus' granting of the power to forgive sin, or not to forgive sin, to the members of his inner circle and those later chosen by them and those after, was the audacious masterstroke. Whether this actually is true is beside the point. The collective decision of Jesus and those that came after him to say and act as if they and only they had the power to forgive sin was a dramatic seizure of power from those that had it to those who did not. An illustrative story I've leaned on beyond the countless personal observations of myself and others in my own life is the story of St. Ambrose and the Emperor Theodosius. Emperor begging a bishop to forgive him? How many divisions does that bishop have? Read about the massacre of Thessalonica around 390 CE. Jesus was the exiled king of his people. He was trapped in an impossible situation of having to choose between the ugliness of collaboration with the enemy, the likelihood of disaster of choosing armed rebellion, the willful blindness of the people, and his own desire to just hide and go fishing. He chose another path. He created a new religion that had the possibility of changing this world for the better, and he knew its staying power would have to come only if he died to give it traction. He was successful. There are countless questions that can be asked to show this traction. Did he really give Mary to John as he was dying? Answer: we can never really know, but who cares? It is such a beautiful scene. The poetry, the art, the meditations into the nature of our actual reality that it inspires. Many questions are left. My answers will appear to be of cake and eating too. Yes, I am Christian. Yes, I am Catholic. No, I do not believe in the resurrection of Jesus. It violates an unavoidable axiom of biology. I like going to Mass. I think it is good for me, but I also mumble a lot. Everyone always wants their words to be true. Jesus would not want it any other way.